That was the news. Next up on Channel 4 is a documentary on how youths are represented in the media. Previously on Youth in the Media, we discussed the topic wealth and poverty. I've travelled around London to try and understand why the media uses certain locations to represent young people in a negative way.
I live in Brixton and I see nothing wrong with the young people who live there.
In this episode, you will be in for some shocking statistics, experts' intake and public opinions of youths in the media. I've made some appointments with some experts and we'll see what they think about how youths are represented in the media.
I think it's a really, it's an issue that's very current at the moment, how youth are represented in the media, particularly after the summer and the riots. I think that whilst there is a diversity of ways in which the media are represented, there was definitely a significant shift last summer in how young people are represented. And there was a sort of a backlash of really quite negative stories about young people. If you look at the headlines in newspapers.
I think that a lot of the stories in the media are sensationalised, especially in regards to young people. And I think that for this reason that we need to kind of question the media and not just accept everything that's said to us.
In the media, there are several negative representations of youths. Let's see if the public agree with this statement.
Youths are portrayed as the binge drinkers in England and the UK, and are portrayed in a bad light due to the effect of a typical young person just drink too much, get sick on the street, and be seen vomiting and the more sophisticated adults.
There's a misconception about the youths. Not all youths are bad, you know what I'm saying, but they're portrayed to be.
Rebellious young celebs such as Frankie Kokoza are used in the media to represent all youths around London. Is this a stereotype, or do youths actually drink as much as they're portrayed to be?
If you want to put it that way, yeah.
Have you drunk today already?
Got my can in my pocket waiting.
Oh, I feel more calm and more like I'm on the middle of nowhere on my own, on the edge, on the middle of nowhere.
Do you think you'll ever stop?
I want to. I would like to.
Okay. What are you looking for?
Oh, I'm just looking for some dope.
How long have you been smoking dope for?
I've been smoking it since I was about, say, 14.
Hobbies, I do boxing and gym most of the time.
Play Xbox, sleep.
Well, basically, I think they're judging too quickly because they only judge by one person. So basically, if one person does something wrong that looks like us or dressed like us or talks like us, then they're saying the whole person's that like wears what that person wears or looks like that is the same.
Yeah.
So basically, that's just wrong.
Just because we're young.
It's because we're young, and it's basically their fault. Because if you look, what we got to do? We go to school, we come home, that's it.
I think today's youths get different views from the public. Some think they're out of control. Others think, yes, they want to forge a career, get jobs. I think we all think they spend too much time on Facebook and Twitter and other internet activities.
So yeah, it's true. There are negative representations of youths in the media, that they misuse drugs, drink too much and go against laws. But we shouldn't just focus on the negative, we need to look into the positive too.
For us, so we can just like jam about.
Maybe have more mentors to talk to these people, because some people, it relates to what they have at home. We want to do something, they don't put nothing out there for us to do. So obviously you're going to find a bunch of youths hanging on the street.
That's why they need to make more community centres.
So if you build more community centres with mentors so people can go talk to, then maybe there could be a change.
I've seen lots of stories about, for example, young people going to do voluntary work in other countries, doing gap years, doing really amazing things, helping out in some very distant place, for example in South America, where they've helped small communities.